Hi there, welcome to video number 6, looking at the Diamond, the DA14-tdi version, and this one is going to be looking at using the X-Touch and Axis and Ohs to control the cabin lights. I'm not going to talk you through how I did all the discovery. I'm going to spare you the pain on that and just take you through to show you the results of my investigations. And all my scripts and allocations are already set up. I'm not going to explain to you how to allocate. You've used Axis and Ohs hopefully enough times that you know how to add and find the bits that you want to add in, but I'll talk you through as much of the process as possible. Let's have a quick look at what we've got. I've set it for sort of dusk at the moment, so you can see the lights working. So what we're trying to achieve is turning the lights on and increasing and decreasing them. And same with this one. So we've got a floodlight, as they call it, which there's a light shining from here and floods right down through the whole of the panel. And we've got the ability to turn that off and to turn on just the lights behind. There we go. Just turn the lights on behind the actual instruments. That's what we're after here. Okay, so we can have just the instruments alight, or we can have the entire of the shield flooded with various brightnesses. So that's what we're going to try and achieve with this. And we're going to allocate it. This is where we were up to. All that's allocated. We're going to allocate it to these two rotary controllers here. So we need to have the rotary to control the brightness of the instruments, and the press button here will turn that on and off. There isn't actually a press button on the rotary switch on the virtual screen, but the first thing it does when you turn it is to switch the circuit on. You can see the command going, so we'll have that as a press button. And same with what they call the floodlight. We will have the on-off switch there, so we can turn the circuit on and off, and this one here to change the value. So that's what we're going to achieve. Now there's some pretty hefty scripting going on behind it. Let's have a look at the simple bit to start with. So if I bring my cockpit back up into action, I will just for the moment turn on my camera, but I need to turn it off again later on. So let's bring that on so you can see what I'm pressing and twiddling for the moment. So this is what we've got here. They call it the instrument. It's actually the panel lights toggle. That's what we're going to control. So it's allocated in the usual way. Double click on it, open it here, do a search for panel lights toggle, drop it in and allocate it by clicking on the button. So I'm clicking on this one here, making sure that I am on layer B when I press that. Okay, so that's the key event, is a click event that's been set there, and you should be able to see this working. If I press on here, you should see the lights going off and on. In fact, I can turn them up a bit brighter, turn them off and turn them on. So that's this one here, and that's all controlled by the panel lights toggle. They've called this one the flood lights. It's actually the glare sheets lights. So again, we're going to put a toggle on this button here. So let's turn the first circuit off, turn the second circuit on, so you can see my glare shield floodlights going up and down. And I can turn that circuit off just by pressing on this button here, and that's turned that off. So they're easy to allocate, but we need to write a script for the instruments light. So we've got, because I'm still working on the scripts, I've put them into a demo folder. I move them into a my whatever it is folder when I'm happy with it, and I'm pretty well there now. So we've got a panel increment and decrease, and increase and decrease for the panel and for the glare, and that, because I call them demo, they kind of slot together quite nicely here in the alphabetical order of things. It's easy to find them. So I'll talk you through the script. It looks complicated. If you've never scripted before, there's a few things you need to work out, but if I take it slowly enough, you probably can do a screenshot or pause it and take the information down anyway. But I'll talk you through how the basics behind it. So let's have a look at increasing the glare shield. The structure of all four is pretty much the same. So if I show it to you 4 times, you should hopefully get the hang of everything. So if I look at the first one, The first one, the panel increase, the script that we want to write here. Well, the first thing we want to do is to read the current setting. So this one here says we're going to look at light potentiometer number 3, and it's an A variable, an aircraft variable. But if you just do the usual thing here, if you were writing a script here, let's clear that out. Don't need that for the moment. Usual thing, managing the script groups, create yourself a group, and then make sure you're allocating it to that group, and give it a title. Because I'm just going to use as a bit of a scratch pad to show you what I'm doing. So we want to read that variable, so we would insert the light potentiometer here, and then we'd have to index it, of course, to be number 3. I don't want it to come as a number. If you do, it comes as a decimal number between 0 and 1, and it's a little difficult to handle. So we can change that ourselves and ask, can we have it in percentages, please? So we change that ourselves to do that. Okay, so that's how you do the scripting bit for that. Let's drop that out of the way. Okay, so let's turn off my camera so you can see what's hidden underneath there. So get that value, find it as a percentage, and then compare it to 90. This is the reverse Polish notations. You may have noticed it's called the RPN script, the reverse Polish notation script. And it's a slightly different way of laying out your mathematics. If I wanted to add 2 numbers together in the normal Western world way, we would say, give me one value, put the plus sign in between, and then put the second variable after it, 90. So if I wanted to add 2 numbers together, say it would be 10 plus 5 equals, and that would work. What this one does is it says, here's your 2 values, 10, 5, and then put the function behind it, the plus behind it. So that's why it's reversed. And I don't know why it's called Polish, I have no idea. I doubt if it actually existed there, but or started there. But it may well have done. But this is the notation in action. This is one value, whatever the value of the potentiometer is. This is what I want you to do. I want you to compare it to 90, and there's the comparison. So value, function, and it's saying, is it less than and equal to 90? If it is, we've got room to move up. We're okay, we can add to it. We have to limit the factor. I didn't do that first one, I just put it in as every time I turn, add 5% or 10% to it, and it overflows, it goes over the 100, which doesn't matter too much. But it does matter if you're decreasing. If you go below 0, as soon as you go below 0, it overflows into the thousands, and whatever, it just puts that circuit up to ridiculous, like 10,000%, and the whole screen becomes a whiteout. So we had to put a limiting factor. So I thought we'll just get the structure consistent, and we'll make sure we don't go over 100 and don't go under 0, and it works. So anyway, that's the comparison. 2 values and compare them. Do an if on that. And if it is, it means we can quite happily add more percentages. So as soon as you put an if, you start with this curly bracket, a brace, and again, get the value of the potentiometer and add 5 to it. So if that was 20, it would now become 25%. So we're just adding 5. That's what this does here. And then we want to write it back to circuit 3, to potentiometer 3. So we're now going to get that value and send it to this function here. So it's a sim event. It's a key function that we're going to use here. So we're reading that potentiometer, adding 5 to it, and sending it to number 3. So we're actually sending 2 values to this. So we have to add this little bit here. We have to add the 2 to it. We actually have to type that in. Normally just go K : light potentiometer 2. Just type in 2 to tell it that you've got 2 values to handle, and it's happy with that. Okay, and that's the end of the curly bracket. So that would work. But if we get to 90, it won't go any further than that. So I wanted to put a little extra command on the end, just so that we can go all the way to 100% if we wanted to. So I've got an else command. So if it's that, you can add 5 to it. If not, just send it straight to 100%. So 100% sent to circuit 3, and that's the same text as that. The one to watch out for here is how they spelled else. There is no E on the end of it, it's ELS, and that's correct. Put an E on the end of it, it won't work. You'll get a red flag coming up. And again, the else command has its own set of curly brackets. So that's the system. Read the value, check we're okay. If it's okay, add percentage to it. I've got it at 5%. I tried 10% and it jumped up too quickly to full brightness. I've tried 5 and maybe it's a bit laborious turning it, so maybe I've got to fiddle with that 5 figure and try 7 or 8 or something. Anyway, that's the last little bit I need to fiddle with to make it feel comfortable for me, and you can change that yourself. And then we've got the else command, that if we're pretty close to, if we're at 92%, just send it straight to 100. And that's how that one works. So the whole script, I said, if I threw the whole lot at you, it would be, and it's all written in one line. If I bring in here, and let me show you the script, let's look for the panel increase. You can see here that it's just written as one long line. It looks quite daunting if you've never done any coding, or haven't done much of this coding, or particularly haven't done reverse Polish notation. You wonder what on earth is going on here, why I'm adding 5 and 3 together, why 8? It's not. That plus is the add 5 to there, and that 3 belongs to that. That's saying which circuit to add it to. So you can get fooled by where the plus is because of your sort of familiarity with current, with your mathematics. So anyway, that's what the panel increase looks like. Let's have a look at the decrease value. And it's very much the same structure. So that's what the whole thing looks like. Let's break it down. We need to check if we're above 10%. If we are above 10%, say we're at 80%, then we've got plenty of room to go down. But as soon as we hit 10%, we might as well just drop to 0 for the next step. So here we are. There's the usual thing. Get your light potentiometer value from circuit number 3 as a percentage. And if it's okay, we'll take 5 off of it. So we can go from 80 to 75, 75 to 60 and all that kind of stuff. So that'll work. And then write that value back. So we are going to send 2 values to it, whatever your new percentage is, and we're sending it to circuit number 3, and that's all done with the if. And then we have the else command. If we're below 10%, then just send it to 0, and it can't go any further than that. It will just send to 0 every single time, so it doesn't go below 0. So that's my decrease on the panel. And it's okay to, you can see here we've got that's percentage drop, and that's the circuit we're using. But if I look at my floodlight increase, here is the whole of the messy thing, and it's because it's circuit 5 and I'm using 5%, it could get confusing. So the 5s here are the circuit I'm using, the potentiometer I'm using, and this 5 is my percentage decrease. So I've got 5 and then add 5 to this because it's the increase version. So let's step through that again. Exactly the same process before. Look at light potentiometer number 5 as a percentage, check if it's below 90 so that we know we can move up. And if we are, get the value from circuit 5 and add 5 to it. Write that back into number 5. Oh, I've missed a 5 off of here. That's terrible. But you know that it's going to be a circuit 5 here because we're sending 2 values to it. So we're going to send this value and there should be a 5 just there. If it's not, just send 100 to circuit 5 and get that to light up to full value. So that's the increased version, and that's all written here, and that's correct. That was copied straight out of the thing, and you can see where all the curly braces are here. So it's just here, that's where I've got the 5 missing off the front of that. And the decreased version, just the same as we saw before, and that's the complete text there. And again, circuit 5. This one here I'm going down in 10%. I'm still sort of exploring whether it's 10s or 5s are best for that. So this is what it looks like if you've got a 10% in there. So if it's above 10%, we know we can come down. We're okay with that. So here we have got take 5 off of it. Sorry, I confused myself here. That 10 is not taking 10% of it. There's the 5% and there's the -5 there. Okay, so we are going down in 5s. It's just checking that we're our headroom here for the 10% rule. Anyway, so back to where we were. We're okay here. We are taking 5 off of that percentage and then writing it back to circuit 5. And that's sending it to there, and again telling us what we're setting 2 values to it. And then the last bit is, if we are at the boundary of 10%, you might as well go all the way straight to 0. So we can go straight down to 0 here, and so it sends a 0 and nothing else to circuit 5. So that's what we're doing here. These are the various allocations that we've got. So if we look at Axis and Ohs, and we can bring up that camera again now, and we can go into our cockpit, and dusk has fallen on us. We are in the depths of dark. Where's my Axis and Ohs? And I will bring that up and I will stop it disappearing. So let's make sure it stays at the front for us. So you will see, if I turn this, if I press this one here, you should see the panel lights toggle here light up. That's been allocated to there. That's okay. And I can turn the brightness up and down on that one. And I said it's quite a bit of turning because I've got it at 5%, so maybe 5's too small, maybe I need to go to 10. And that is allocated here. And so I've had to do when I do my search here, I go into my demo folder and pick up my panel increment here, double click on that, and that allocates that script into here. And usual process, 2 clicks to turn it right. So that's my increase, and the same way I want to do my decrease one. So allocate that as another function to plus here, and then I allocate my decrease and turn the button to the left, turn it anti-clockwise. So that's all working quite happily. Let's turn that circuit off, and we'll turn the floodlight circuit on. Again, let's look at the whole panel. You can see the whole thing's lit up. Let's turn that one off and let's just turn on the instruments now. In fact, if I turn the avionics on, you can see there's my panel lights, which I should be able to dim so it's not too bright, and then if I want to get more detail I can turn that up. So maybe I need to go back and look at 10% increase rather than 5%. It's 5's quite slow. It's funny that one's quite slow, but this one here, as is a brighter light, that going up in 5% gets quite glary quite quickly, whereas going up in 5% on this one seems to take a lot of turning to get to a decent level of brightness. But that's it really. That's how you allocate it. It's mostly about getting the scripts sorted out. Once you've copied those and written those in, then it's not too bad. Okay, I think that's it for this one. In fact, I think that's it for the building the cockpit. I think we're up to the point of doing a trial flight and testing the various systems, seeing how it goes. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. So I hope that made sense for you. I will answer comments as quickly as I can. If you do have a question that you want put into there, I'll answer a few of them straight away now. No, I'm not going to give you my scripts, and no, I'm not going to give you my panel layouts. I have made my reasons for that fairly clear. Firstly, I want to not give people finished product. I want them to, the product I want is you to feel confident and understand. So I'm a teacher, not a provider. Also, a fair bit of the work that I've done, I've also gathered from other people's intellectual work. They make their living, or they make some of their living from that. So if you want to use that pre-made panel, I would suggest that you look at flightsim.to to pull their work down. I've refined it, I've changed it, I've shown you how to alter it to make it work for me or for you, and you can do the same. You don't have to follow my layout, you don't have to follow exactly my scripts if you want to change things, but having an understanding of how things work, that's what I'm after. So I won't post those anywhere. What I will post at some point is the actual templates for my layout, and perhaps even my PowerPoints, but the PowerPoints need some tidying up as well. What I'll do is, once I get my paper layouts that I use, these ones here that I make, I will put those templates up on GitHub and put a link so that you can get that, and I'll probably put that link in most as a pinned comment or something in future videos so that you can go in and download what you want to. I can't see any reason why there's no intellectual property problems with that, and I know how much time it takes to actually get the measurements exactly right, so I'll give that away quite happily for free. I'm not worried about that, but I've made a decision right at the beginning. I'm not going to give finished product because that way it stops you manually doing it yourself and will get in the way of learning, and that's what I'm really about. If you want finished product, there's stuff for free and stuff for donation and stuff and payware you can download quite happily. I really want you to feel confident and understand and learn how to do this, and perhaps even get feedback to me if you find a better way of doing something. I've had a few people suggest some tweaks, and that's been really useful because I'm learning every day along with you as well. Okay, that's enough babbling for now, and I will see you in the next one.